and welcome to the Housing Choice Grant Program guidance webinar for the fiscal year 27 round of the Community One Stop for Growth. To start with a brief overview, we have 3 program staff: myself, Maggie Kenny, a Community Grants Coordinator, Victoria Healy, our other Community Grants Coordinator, and Mackenzie Bell, the Senior Community Grants Coordinator on our team. All of our contact information can be found on the Housing Choice Grant Program webpage. The Housing Choice Grant Program is available only to those communities currently designated as Housing Choice communities or rural and small town Housing Choice communities. The program funds a variety of activities for planning and zoning projects, site preparation for development, housing development, and infrastructure projects. Again, municipalities who are currently designated as Housing Choice and rural and small town Housing Choice are eligible to apply, as well as regional planning agencies for any regional projects that will serve Housing Choice communities and/or rural and small town Housing Choice communities. The Housing Choice Grant Program is administered through the Community One Stop for Growth, a single application portal, and collaborative review process. So what's new this year? Planning for housing as a project type on the application was previously only under the Planning and Zoning Development Continuum category, but as of this fiscal year 27 round, it will also be included under site preparation. There's been some shifting in eligible applicants, so only cities and towns currently designated as a Housing Choice community or a rural and small town Housing Choice communities, or the RPAs, proposing a regional project that serves these communities are eligible to apply, as mentioned in the previous slide. And then any other public entities and private firms must partner with an eligible applicant to apply. In terms of eligibility considerations, please note that non-compliant MBTA communities are ineligible for this grant program, except for efforts to become compliant with Section 3A. And then applicants who have adopted housing moratoria or other restrictive bylaws that don't allow for at least 5% increase in housing production over a single year are also ineligible to apply for Housing Choice grant funding. So where does Housing Choice Grant Program fit within the One Stop? Pretty much under every category, there are eligible projects for Housing Choice under the Planning and Zoning category, under Site Preparation category, Building and Infrastructure. So when you are completing the full Community One Stop for Growth application, applicants from Housing Choice communities should select yes in the question 2.4.A. This will flag you as being reviewed by the Housing Choice Grant Program. And you'll note that in this FY27 round, those Housing Choice communities applying for Housing Choice grant funding won't need to answer questions related to the implementation of those Housing Choice best practices, but in the application itself. But we will be still accounting for best practices in our review process based on best practices that have been submitted to us in the past and what we have on file. If you're unsure if HLC has these best practices for your community, you should please contact Mackenzie Bell. So again, you're answering yes here. And for any just general information on completing the full one-stop application, you can visit that website there to view the one-stop guidance webinar on filling out the application. On this slide, I will review some highlights in the Housing Choice Guidelines for this fiscal year 27 round. Awards for single entities are limited to up to $150,000 for planning and zoning projects and up to $500,000 for projects related to site prep, building, or infrastructure. Any awards that are over these amounts are considered only for joint or regional applications and on a case-by-case basis. While local cash matches aren't required, applications that do have a 10% local cash match will get bonus points. The Housing Choice Grant Program is a 2 fiscal year grant, so awards made in the fall of 2026, those projects must be completed by June 30th, 2028. Eligible uses of funds, we have some activities listed here around community planning and zoning revisions, feasibility, engineering, design, and construction of physical infrastructure, etc. And more details are provided in the guidelines for the Housing Choice Program. In terms of ineligible activities, Housing Choice grant funds cannot support any activities related to the assertion of GLAM, any routine administrative tasks for municipal staff. Housing Choice funds cannot support parking and parking garage studies or plans, as well as planning for municipally owned buildings. How to have a competitive application. Another plug for the Housing Choice Grant guidelines. These guidelines also include a very specific scoring rubric that can help you maximize all possible points when submitting your application. In addition to the score, award recommendations also consider a number of factors, including past performance with all HLC capital grants and capital grant contracts, regional and geographic diversity, whether an applicant would be a first-time HLC capital grant recipient, if a project has prior HLC investment or involvement, successful implementation of prior HLC capital grants. We're looking at environmental resiliency factors and overall alignment with the HLC Secretariat priorities. Competitive applications should explain how the project addresses a need that's specific to your community. We are looking for an outlined, detailed scope of work that can be achieved within the grant timeline. Applications that are strong and competitive include evidence of progress to date, and also clear experienced leadership with a track record to execute the project. And we're also looking for projects that have feasible and defensible costs grant requests. Fiscal year 27 round timeline. The Community One Stop for Growth launched on January 23rd in coordination with the MMA Connect 351 conference. At this point, folks can begin working on full applications but cannot yet submit those. We are in our guidance phase, January through April. This is where applicants can submit expression of interests and receive tailored and specific feedback on those projects. Webinars will be available for people to learn more about the Community One Stop for Growth grant programs like this one. And people will be able to book virtual office hours with program staff to ask specific questions. The application submission period begins on May 4th and lasts 1 month until June 3rd. And this is the time where you are able to submit full applications for funding consideration. We then move into a review and evaluation period, June through September, and award notifications will be sent out in the fall. Again, we thank you so much for your interest in the Housing Choice Grant Program. We encourage you to visit our webpage to learn more specific details and to please reach out to our team if you have any questions. Thank you.